Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. Today I will be playing Elden Ring, but I can only use fist weapons. The rules for this challenge are I am only allowed to use up to 10 flasks, and I can only use the iron fist weapons. First, I start off with the warrior class because I start off with the most strength, name my character Fist, and give him the golden seed keepsake. I jump off of the ledge you start on, head across the bridge, and then jump off the cliff because I'm not fighting the grafted scion with only my fists. Then I head from the first step side of Grace to the gatefront ruins, rest at the side of Grace, and meet Melina. If we agree to take her to the foot of the Erd-tree, she will give us the spectral steed whistle, which we gladly take. After that, we head up to the Stormhill Shack, across the Stormhill Shack, and head to the bridge to skip the Godric and Margit boss fights. Once we get to Liurnia of the Lakes, we jump off of the side of the cliff and parkour our way down the grave sites sticking out of the cliff. From the bottom of the cliff, we head down to a small ruin. In this small ruin, you will find a teleporter. This teleporter will take you to the gate of Raya Lucaria. We grab the side of Grace and then head down the bridge to head over to the Bipron Shack. Once we get to the Bipron Shack, we talk to the NPC and then promptly kill him to get our first weapon of the run, the Iron Fists. This guy took me around 3 tries because I had to beat him with my bare fists, but eventually we beat him and he gives us the Iron Fists. After we get the weapon, we go to the first boss of the run, Margit the Fell Omen. Margit is a tough boss with a lot of quick wind-ups and a lot of long wind-ups. He is extremely fast and can punish you if you are too slow. A perfect example of this is when I didn't dodge his cane and I got thrown off the side of the cliff. But after learning from that mistake, I stagger him, hit him with a couple chest stabs, and eventually Margit the Fell Omen finally goes down. From there, we head through the gate, and this is possibly the most chaotic part of the run. There are people who shoot crossbow bolts at you. At the same time, other people chase you and try to attack you. This part of the run is tough, and I'm not even gonna lie, I died quite a few times here. I'll say 5 or 6 times. The explosive arrows on the stairs are where most of these deaths come from. The explosive arrows are really hard to dodge, and you have to dodge twice, one for the impact and one for the explosion. After a while though, I do manage to finally get up the stairs and head past a few more enemies, and one of them even had a flamethrower. After running past even more mobs, we get to another set of stairs. From there, we head into a room to the left and up an elevator. From there, we head into the door to the left, down the stairs, and into the secluded cell side of Grace. This is where the next boss of the run is located. His name is Godric the Grafted. After resting at the side of Grace, I finally head over to the fog gate and walk in. Honestly, I think Godric is a pretty easy fight, cause on my first run he took me so many tries that I just know his attack patterns now. Also, the iron balls have insane poise damage and stagger him quite frequently. After a few minutes of dodging his second phase fire, we manage to get another chest stab. After the chest stab, we just hit him a few times and Godric the Grafted goes down. After that, we pop Godric's Remembrance for an extra 20,000. That leaves 40,000, and we level up a few times before teleporting back to the gate of Raya Lucaria. From there, we go to a little cave at the top right of Liurnia, and if you beat the Crystallian inside of the boss room, you get a Smithing Stone Bell-Bearing 1. Smithing Stone Bell-Bearing 1 allows you to buy infinite Smithing Stones 1 and 2. Smithing Stones 1 and 2 will allow me to upgrade my weapon to +6, which is a gigantic damage increase. After a few more chest stabs, the Crystallian goes down without much of a fight. After that, we head to the Sleeping Dragon, and behind him we find the Academy Glintstone Key, which allows us to head into the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Once in the Academy, we head up an elevator, run past quite a few mobs, and then, believe it or not, head up another elevator. After that, it's time for the next boss of the run, which is one of the hardest, Red Wolf of Radagon. This boss is just so fast and does so much damage, and since I don't have much armor, most of my resistances are in the negatives. I died quite a few times to this boss, but since I already know his attack patterns a decent amount, I just decided that I would keep trying until I beat him. After around 10 or 11 tries, I get the perfect run and he gets to super low HP. Except the stress gets to me and I almost die, but I end up killing him. After Red Wolf of Radagon, we head over up the stairs past the ball, and this time we actually managed to run past Moongrim and head to the Renala, Queen of the Full Moon boss fight. Although, unfortunately, most of the footage got lost from the Renala boss fight, and I couldn't do anything about it. Moving on, though, I grabbed the right Dectus Medallion, and after a short trip to Caelid, I also grabbed the left Dectus Medallion, and the Radagon Sword Seal. After that, I head up the Grand Lift of Dectus, and now we are in the Altus Plateau. I ran across the plateau, past many mobs, ran up the stairs, past 2 tree sentinels, and then got 2 golden seeds. And after heading up more sets of stairs, I got 2 more golden seeds, which let me get a few flask upgrades. Now for the Draconic Tree Sentinel. This fight is usually pretty easy for me due to me trying around 50 times on my first playthrough, and I just know this guy's attack patterns extremely well. After a few minutes of fighting, the Draconic Tree Sentinel finally goes down. After DTS, I head up to a cave in the top right of Altus Plateau and open a chest which gives us the Smithing Stone Bell-Bearing 2, which allows us to get our weapon up to +12. After that, Melina decides to leave us, even though we just took her across the world to the foot of the Erd Tree. We ignore that, head into Lanedale, the royal capital, run past a few enemies, and jump off a cliff onto the buildings. After some platforming, we can finally progress the story, head up a few trees, and get to the next boss. Godfrey the First Elden Lord, or Godfrey, is, I think, one of the easiest bosses in the runs, and not because he's actually easy, it's just because I know his attack patterns super well and can just strafe most of his attacks. We end up chest stabbing him like 2 or 3 times, which is insane, and after another few minutes of fighting, Godfrey goes down. We head up a tree, go across a road, and this time we actually kill the Black Knife Assassin, and then we rest at the site of grace. This leads us to the next major boss, Morgott, the Omen King. I actually find Morgott to be quite tough, and I usually die like maybe 10 times on my average playthrough. Although this playthrough is different. With my decent damage and a lot of poise damage, I managed to stagger him quite a few times. After a lot of chest stabbing, he finally goes into phase 2, where he coughs up a storm and makes the ground muddy water. After even more chest stabs, Morgoth the Omen King finally goes down. But sadly, the next 2 bosses were also lost footage, and I could not retrieve them no matter how hard I tried. These bosses include Fire Giant and the Godskin Duo. Both of them I took down pretty easily. Fire Giant took me around 3 tries, and Godskin Duo took me around, I want to say 8. Since I lost this footage, I'll just move on to Fair Missoula, which is where we'll fight Malekith the Blackblade. But first, we have to head across a few enemies and up yet another elevator. Miyazaki must love long elevators. This is in 3 times speed. The Beast Clergyman, aka Malekith the Blackblade's first phase, I actually think is a lot harder than the second phase. The first phase took me so many tries to get through, but after we got through the first phase, the second phase was a breeze for me. This is just another case of I took too long to beat him on my first playthrough, and I know his attack patterns way too well. After him getting down to a non-visible amount of HP and me having no flasks left, I finally take Malekith the Blackblade down. This boss fight allows us to progress the game into the next area, Leyndell, the Ashen Capital. After about 30 seconds of running, we come to the first boss of this area, Gideon Ofnir. I, for one, hate this boss. He took me so many tries, and just because I messed up a little bit on the first run, and if you don't beat him the first time, he's a lot harder to beat the other times. He has a lot of health, he can heal, and he two-shots you, even if you have max health. Although thankfully Ofnir messed up and let me combo him a little bit too much, and after I almost died to a Comet Azure, I finally take him out. And for the rest of the run, I decide to wear his armor just to spite him. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, this boss took me around 40 to 50 tries, like 3 hours. But after ignoring that, we come to, I think, the coolest boss in the game. And you might actually recognize him because he is actually a boss that we've already fought. Godfrey, the First Elden Lord. This is the physical version rather than the spiritual version we fought earlier. I love this boss. His first phase is really easy, but his second phase is super fast and super strong. Great boss fight. Even though this boss fight is really hard, there is actually a trick to beating him. For his first phase, you just be aggressive, and then for his second phase, you just run away until you get a chance to attack, and then you do so. After a few lucky hits and a chest stab, we come to his big stomp attack, which allows me to get 2 hits in, for a little bit of extra posture damage. After a little bit more of pushing him around, we come to his second phase, Horaloo Warrior. This phase is hard, but I actually don't know his attack patterns very well, so it ended up being a very fun boss fight. Although he does have the same stomp attack, except it's even longer, so you can get in a whole bunch of hits. After around 8 tries, Horaloo goes down. And after getting a lot of runes, we get to the final boss, Radagon of the Golden Order. He starts off by flashbanging me with his cutscene. This is an extremely fun boss. A perfect mix of hard and fun. It is amazing. Although, Radagon is just another case of him taking me 50 tries on my first run, and so I know his attack patterns very well and only got hit once or twice. But after I get a few chest stabs in, he goes for one of his longer attacks, which allows me to get in 2 hits and finally defeat Radagon. And that's it. The game's over. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's time for Elden Beast, because this is a 2-part boss fight. I run to his back to dodge his first fire attack, and after seeing how much damage I do, I was actually quite impressed, because usually you do around this much damage on a normal run. This boss fight was so surreal because it was my first time using Torrent in this boss fight. I actually quite like the change. I think Elden Beast is a pretty easy boss fight, but Torrent allows you to dodge one of his hardest dodging attacks, which is Elden Stars. But after a few chest stabs and a lot of heavy attack spamming, Elden Beast goes down. And this is actually the end of the game. I know it's a little bit anticlimactic, but that's it. I beat Elden Ring with only fist weapons. If you're still here, thank you so much. This video took a very long time to make, and if you liked it, maybe you could consider subscribing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.